Welcome back. This is the third lesson recording for January 7th, 2021. Now let's just quickly compare the method for factoring. So we've done the area model or the grid method or the factor by grouping. If I have 2x squared plus x, 11x plus 12, for both problems, we need to do the diamond. Okay, and how do we set up the diamond? We multiply the first number with the last number. That's 2 times 12 is 24. And the middle number, the 11x or 11 is at the bottom. Okay, and then you solve the diamond and you get 3 and 8. Then from here, you fill the area model. So 2x squared is the very first term. The 12 is the very last term of the area model. And then from the result of the diamond problem, you get 3x and 8x. Same thing in grouping, right? You are splitting the 11x as 8x plus 3x here from as a result of the diamond. And then from here, you put the parenthesis. And then for the area model, you are looking at the first column and finding the x as the common factor here. And in this case, you are looking at 2x squared plus 3x, the first parenthesis, and finding the x as the GCF. So it's basically you're looking for GCF. Here in the factoring by grouping, you're doing a sort of more algebraically. From here, you for the area model, you're doing it so more visually. Okay, and then same thing for the second term, you're actually looking for GCF. Okay, you could have gotten this number and then figure out what this number is, or you could just look at the row or column in this case, 8x and 12, and look for the GCF of that column, and that's exactly what we're doing here. Looking at 8x plus 12 and looking for GCF. So it is exactly the same thing. And then same thing here. This time, after you've figured out the GCF of the rows, what you're finding is that GCF of the row is that after you factor out 2x plus 3, 2x plus 3 and 2x plus 3 is common to both here. So you are factoring that out and you're left with x from the first half of the expression and 4 from the second half of the expression here. Okay, and while as for this problem, you're just getting the length and the width and there are other factors. So you're basically doing the same thing. You're just doing it sort of more visually with the area model. You're doing it more algebraically with the grouping method. Which is quicker? I think the grouping method is quicker because you do not have to draw this area model. But if this area model is helpful for you, then by all means, you should be using it. All right, so then I want you to get some practice. I want you to factor the following expression using the area model or grouping. Okay, but the hint is factor out the GCF first. Okay, so what do I mean by that? What is the GCF? Well, the first thing you should do whenever you're approached, you need to factor expression. You need to always look for GCF because that by doing so, you're going to end up with much smaller numbers. If I try to use the as it is, then if I multiply 60 times 42, that's a huge number. That also means to solve the diamond, you're dealing with a lot of different combinations. We don't want to do that. We do want to look for a GCF whenever possible, looking at 60, 114, and 42. Is there a number that is common factor to all three? Yes, there is 6. Okay, so I can take out 6 as the common factor. So if I take out 6 as the common factor, I am left with 10x squared, and 114 divided by 6, that's going to be 19. So that's going to be negative 19x. And then 42 divided by 6 is going to be 7. So now you're dealing with much smaller number. Okay, so then let's just factor this out. But at the end, we need to put the 6 as one of the factors as your final answer. Okay, so let's just do that. I'm going to use the area model for this one. I'm going to use the grouping method for this one, and you should get the same answer. All right, so area model. Now I am just dealing with this expression here. Okay, so I am dealing with my area model here. The first number that goes in is 10x squared because that's the first term. And then the last term is plus 7. Now I need to solve my diamond. Oops. Yeah. Solve my diamond. To get the top number, I multiply the first number, the leading coefficient, and 7. 10 times 7 is 70. The middle number, the coefficient is negative 19. So I'm looking for a product that results in 70 but adds to negative 19. So I do need to solve my diamond. So 70. Okay, if I multiply 1 times 70, the sum is not going to be 19. 2 times 35, that's still not going to work. 70 is not divisible by 3. What about 4? No. What about 5? Yes. And 5 times 14. Okay. All right. It's 5 plus 14 is 19. So I found my two numbers. But I want the sum to be negative 19. So I need to change both the terms, both the numbers as negative 5 and negative 14. And then from here, I fill in the the missing boxes, negative 5, not just negative 5, but this time I'm going to put negative 5x and negative 14x. So basically, I am splitting the middle term, negative 19x as negative 5x and negative 14x. Now from here, I need to look for a GCF. Okay, I'm going to start with this row. Oh, column, I'm sorry. 10x squared minus 14x. I know the x squared and x, there is an x right there. 10 and 14, they're both even. That means I can take out 2x here. All right, so then 2x times what is 10x squared? It has to be 5x squared or 5x. 2x times 5x is 10x squared. Now 5x times what is negative 5x? It has to be negative 1. Now for this missing number, 2x times what is negative 14x? That's going to be negative 7. Okay, I do need to check the last number. Negative 1 times negative 7 is positive 7, so it checks out. All right, so then I can put my final factor as the length, which is 2x minus 1, and the width is 5x minus 7. Okay, so I am done with the first problem. Second problem, I am going to use the grouping method. Okay, so again, I need to go through the diamond, don't I? Okay, so this time, well, no, actually, before I do that, I need to look for GCF. 8, 54, and 36. What is the greatest common factor? Well, it is actually okay, let's stop. They're all even. So let's start by taking out the 2. You're left with them 4r squared plus 54 divided by 2 is going to be 27. And then finally, 36 divided by 2 is 18. Okay, you are making it smaller. If you cannot see the common factor, you can always start with a 2 and then you're making the number smaller, and that will actually help you to see if there are any more numbers. Oh, actually, I made a mistake here, haven't I? Okay, with this, I factored out 6, so then my final answer has to be 6 times 2x minus 1 times 5x minus 7. So I can't forget that. All right, so then 2. Okay, so looking at 4, 27, and 18, I do know that there are no other common factors um, for 4, 27, and 18. So I am done here. Now I just need to solve my diamond. Okay, 4 times 18 is going to be 72. And the middle term is 27. So to solve my diamond, um, I need to solve it using looking for 72 as my factor that will give me the sum as 27. Okay, so I'm looking for sum to be 27. Okay, so what are the factors? 1 times 72 is not going to work. 2 times 36 is not going to work. 3 times, is it 72 divisible by 3? Yes, and that's going to be 24. Okay, and then what about 4? Oh, no, here we go. The sum is 27, so that's my combination, so I figured it out. And the sum is going to be 27 positive, and that works out, so I know that solution is 3 and 36, or 24. Now I can split the middle term as 4r squared plus 3r plus 24r plus 18. And then from there, I can put my parentheses. And looking for the GCF of the first two terms, I can take out the r. And 4 and 3, there are no other factors, so I can only take out the r. Okay, so once I've taken out r, r times what is 4r squared? That's going to be 4r. R times what is 3r? That's going to be plus 3. And then looking at the second term, 24 and 18. Okay, so 24 and 18. So this is where your multiplication facts are going to come really handy. So if you know your multiplication really well, you should see that the 24 is divisible by 6, and 18 is also divisible by 6. So that's going to be 6 times what is 24r? That's 4r. 18 times 6 times what is 18? That's 3. So we have 6 times 4r plus 3. Notice that 4r plus 3, 4r plus 3 is common to both. So I am going to take 4r plus 3 as my common factor, which leaves me with the 2, this number, and this number. So that's my second factor, r plus 6. Okay, so now for my final answer, I do need to put it all together. Remember, I took out the 2 here. I do need to put that back in. So this is going to be same as 2 times 4r plus 3 and r plus 6. Okay, now I'm done. Okay, another method, which actually is my favorite, but it might be a little bit tricky for some of you. But believe